Today we're going to go over the distributive property. So your essential question is, how do we use the distributive property to simplify? What is the distributive property? So the distributive property is when you multiply the number on the outside of the parentheses by everything on the inside of the parentheses. So here's an example. Outside of the parentheses, we have 5. And then inside of the parentheses, we have 2x plus 5. So one way of thinking about this is that you are, let's say this is an order, and you are ordering 5 of this. So for example, let's say this was an order of, let me go ahead and write it down here. You had an order that came with 2 burgers and 5 fries. And I said there are 5 of you that want the same thing. So you're ordering 5 of this order. So 2 burgers and 5 fries. And then this is 3. And the same thing for the 4th person. And the same thing for the 5th person. So I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 orders of 2 burgers and 5 fries. So we want to know in total how many burgers you have and how many fries you have. Well, let's see. I have 2 plus 2 burgers, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'd have 10 burgers. And now I want to know how many fries I have. I have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Well, this is the same thing as this problem, except we didn't have the variable b. We had an x. So 10x plus 25. This would be using, as an example, right? If you go to a restaurant and order 5 orders of their number, let's say you have a number 2 at a restaurant that comes with 2 burgers and 5 fries, right? Well, you want 5 orders of this. It's a lot easier for the cashier or the waiter, instead of writing it down 5 times, so put 2 burgers plus 5, 2 burgers plus 5, 2 burgers plus 5, 5 times. It's a lot easier for them to just put 2 burgers plus 5 and then multiplied by 5, like 5 right next to it. So 5 orders of this. This is what the distributive property is telling us. Now, what is happening, so that you don't have to write this down, whatever's inside this parentheses is getting multiplied by 5 times. So one way we can use to express this is by using arrows. 5 multiplied by 2 gives me 10, and there's an x, so this will be 10x. 5 multiplied by a positive 5 gives me positive 25. So there you go. 10x plus 25 is our answer. We're going to do the same thing of 3 minus 2x, and I'm going to order 4 orders of those. So 4 by 3. And remember, this negative has to come right here with the 2x. And 4 by negative 2. So let's do this here. 4 by 3 gives me 12. Next, this is a positive and this is a negative. Different signs is going to give me a negative. And 4 by 2 will give me 8x. So you can represent it as 12 plus negative 8x, or just 12 minus 8x. Same thing, right? This addition sign here isn't doing anything, so we don't need it. You can't, but it's not wrong. Either one of these will work. Okay, so now you know what the distributive property is. Let's keep doing more examples. And we're going to do a problem where this is, how do I distribute to find the sum of an expression? So your step 1, you're going to distribute wherever you can in the problem. And sub 2, after distributing, you're going to combine like terms. So the reason why this is true is because PEMDAS, right? PEMDAS says that you're going to multiply before you are adding or subtracting. So let's go ahead and look at this example more detail. I already set it up for you all, but let's see why I set it up that way. Okay, well, PEMDAS is telling us that the first thing we have to do is to multiply. So if I take this 3 and I multiply it by z, well, there's really a 1 in front of there. So 3 multiplied by 1 is 3z. Remember, this is a positive 3, so that's the reason why this is still positive. So 3 multiplied by 1 is 3, and then we just tackle on the z there. 3 multiplied by a negative 2, well, this is a positive, this is a negative. Different signs will give me a negative, and 3 times 2 is 6. Well, remember, always put the sign first, or else the whole thing is going to be wrong. So now that I took care of this, let's look over here. Well, remember, there's really a 1 in front of this parentheses, but it's not doing anything because it's a positive 1. 1 by 1 gives me 1. 1 times a negative 9 gives me a negative 9. So we can see that it didn't do anything. Now we can go ahead and combine like terms, and that's where these lines that I drew are for. This one does not have any variables, so we're going to look for anything else that does not have a variable. This does, this one right here doesn't. So I have 1 minus 6. Remember, as you're getting used to this, a lot of you are going to tell me when I ask you what is 1 minus 6, you're going to tell me that you can't do that. So anytime you have that thought that I can't do that, I want you to automatically assume that it's going to be a negative. If you say, okay, I have 1 finger up and I have to take away 6, and you think, wait, that doesn't make sense, that means it's a negative, right? So 1 minus 6, okay? You know it's going to be a negative. We'll do the opposite with 6 minus 1. Well, it's 5. So negative 5. And if that still doesn't work, right, I want us to be drawing these out. So I have a positive, this is a positive 1, and I have 5 negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negatives, actually. Sorry. Now, a positive and a negative are going to cancel each other out because they're opposites, just like 1 minus 1 will give you 0. That's what this is. I have 1, take away 1, gives me 0. Look what I'm left with. I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negatives. Okay, so that's the reason for that negative 5. Now, we took care of this. I'm going to cross it out just to keep my things organized. I have a negative 9z, so you can underline it or put a box around it. I have the sign, so the sign is a negative. And look, this also has a z. It's a positive 3z. So negative and positive are different signs. They're going to cancel out or subtract. So if I have 9 negatives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 3 positives. 1, 2, 3. These are going to cancel out as 1 minus 1 gives me 0. And I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negatives. So I have 6 negatives, and this also has the variable z attached to it. So I have different ways of expressing my final answer. I can write it as negative 5 minus 6z, or I could switch this around as long as I keep the signs with each number. This is a negative 6z, so I can write it as negative 6z. This is a negative 5, so I can write it as negative 5, which is what I have up here, except I have a plus in between these. And either one of these 3 ways is fine. This plus isn't doing anything, but it does help some of you see that this minus goes with the 5, right? This is a -5, and sometimes people think it's a +5 with the minus sign. Remember, a minus and a negative, I want you to assume that they're the same thing so that we're not getting confused. I have students that will tell me, well, this isn't, the 6z is positive. I'm like, well, this is a negative. They tell me, no, that's a minus sign. I want you to assume a minus and a negative are the same thing. If I ask you to find me the sign of this right here, I want you to tell me, okay, well, this one is a negative. And I also want you to tell me that this right here is also a negative. So just be mindful of that. Okay, at this time, I would like you to pause this video and try these two problems and see if you can understand them. If not, you can go ahead and call me over, right? Once you have an answer, you can go ahead and unpause it. And I want us to try, right, to see, or I want you to see if you got the same thing. Okay, so hopefully by now you've tried it. And I want us to do 3. Remember, I have 3 orders of 7x plus 8. This is like if I wrote this out 3 times. So 7x plus 8, that's once. It's twice. And that's 3 times. So instead of doing 7 plus 7 plus 7, we're just going to go ahead and multiply this all out. I'm going to do 3 times 7 gives me 21 with the x. These are both positive, so my answer is positive. And this is positive, so everything's going to be positive. Now you're going to do 3, follow the arrows, by 8, which is a positive 24. So here is your expression. Now, for number 2, remember, we're doing the multiplying first. So forget about this for a second. I want you to multiply what's in the parentheses first before we combine like terms. So 2 by 3 is 6, and this has a b. Next, we're going to be careful because this is a negative right here. So 2 times a positive times a negative, it's going to be a negative answer. 2 times 15 is 30. C. And now that I combined all or distributed this, now I can go back to this right here. Now I'm going to put plus 6c. And now we're going to combine like terms. So let's see what I can combine. Okay, 6b. Well, there's no other variable b here, so that's going to go my answer. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this so that I don't get confused. I know that I'm done with that. And now I have a negative and a positive 6c. So these are different signs. So remember, we're going to subtract them, and you're going to keep the sign of the bigger number. So my bigger number is 30, and this is a negative. So my answer is going to be a negative 30 minus 6 will give me 24. So this will be a 24, and we can't forget the variable c. So there you go. 6b minus 24c is our final answer. If you need any help with this, go ahead and let me know. If you're not sure what I did to get this, maybe try, before you ask me, try rewinding it and look through it again. And then if you need additional help, I can come back around and help you with it. Okay, that is, well, let's try one more practice problem. Let's see if we kind of got the hang of this now. Okay, we remember we're ordering 2 orders of whatever's in here. So 3 of something, you're getting 2 orders of that. You're getting 4 of something, you're getting 2 orders of that. It's like if I took this and I wrote it 2 times. So it's like if I did, there's 1 time, and now I'm going to write it again. Just remember, multiplying is a faster way of adding. Okay, so 2 multiplied by 3 gives me 6, because they're both positive, so same signs. 2 multiplied by 4 here gives me a positive 8, and this has a y, so we're going to stick the y at the end. And then lastly, 2, again, everything in here was positive, so we're just leaving it as positives. Plus 2 by 5 is 10. Now, this is where we have to double check, make sure we can't simplify anything else. Look at this 6. The 6 doesn't have any letters, but neither does this 10. So that means we can still combine these. 6 plus 10 gives me 16. And we still had the plus 8y. Now, I can't combine these, right? Your answer can't be 16 plus 8, which is 24. You can't do that because this doesn't have a y. This does, so we are done. This is our final answer. Another thing that you could have done before you started distributing is look inside your parentheses to see if we can combine any like terms. So in here, I see that these two are like terms, so I could have combined them before. Where 2 plus 5 is 8. So this would give me 8. Plus 4y. And now when I distribute everything, 2 by 8 is 16, plus 2 by 4 is 8y. So these give us the same answer. All right, that's it for our lesson. Go ahead and call me over if you have any questions, or we can also just get started on your assignment.